My name's Matt Kessler, and I'm a wilderness adventure guide. I lead groups of men on remote trips to the beauty and solitude of epic places, where silence speaks and something sacred wakes up inside. But this time, I'm going alone. 9 days, just me, my canoe, and the legendary Frost River. Experience the challenge and severe weather, the serenity of rivers, lakes, and woods, the sounds of solitude, great backpacking food, campfires, and spiritual renewal. It's brutal, it's beautiful, and it breaks you open in the best way, giving the kind of clarity that only comes when everything else is stripped down. Come with me. This is Alone on the Frost River. After a great plane ride and about a 5.5 hour drive, I made it up to the border and am staying in Sawbill Campsite, which has over 50 sites, and yet there's only one other party here. It's a bit of a dystopian feel. I even had all the bathrooms to myself. Looks like I've got about 4 portages today. I'm gonna take off here and head up Sawbill Lake. I've got a portage here, a portage here, a portage here, and then a longer portage here. And I'm gonna make it up to Cherokee Lake this morning. Hopefully get there by about lunchtime and have the afternoon to fish and swim. Let's go. First portage, had a great paddle up Sawbill Lake, getting used to the solo canoe. It's a bit tippy. There was a steady breeze. Fortunately, it was at my back for the most part. There's one place where I had to cross the lake and the wind was coming in my side. It was a bit sketchy. Just a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. And so grateful to be out here. The term Voyageur was given to the men who navigated the canoes of fur traders during the 18th and early 19th centuries, pushing through the vast wilderness of rivers, lakes, and woods that's now the U.S.-Canadian border. Furs were in great demand in Europe and Asia, which created a strong economy and tons of opportunity, especially for those looking for a new start or seeking adventure or wealth. So the Voyageurs befriended the Ojibwa, Ottawa, Algonquin, Huron, and Dakota tribes and traded European-made goods like rifles, iron tools, cured tobacco, alcohol, beads, cloth, for pelts, mostly beaver, but also pine marten, fox, lynx, and bear. A Voyageur could paddle 15 to 18 hours a day for weeks on end and carry between 200 and 450 pounds over treacherous portage trails. Their stamina was legendary and their speed unmatched. Tonight we are trying Pappy's Carne Guisada. This is from the Caudell family. They live in Midland, Texas. And this is my first Adventure Well meal. And what I decided to do was put a little bit of this Carne Guisada in this tortilla. Thank you, Pappy. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come out here and Sabbath. Sabbath isn't just the fourth commandment, it's a person. It's Jesus who has invited us to come to him when we're weary and burdened so that he can give us rest. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls." Jesus is Sabbath, and out here I'm connecting with him. Sleeping under the stars. It's been a great day. See you in the morning. All right, breakfast this morning is the spicy Southwest style skillet from Mountain House. I'm going to try this morsel of delicious goodness and a tortilla. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I cowboy camped last night. Just slept under the stars. The sun came up right over my sleeping bag. It was so awesome. I slept pretty good, but the loons were crazy last night. Such an aptly named animal. They are absolutely crazy. People ask me, why do you like these trips? Do you like the canoeing? Do you like the portaging? Do you like the camping? Yeah, I like all those things. But mostly I like the exploration. I like the challenge of studying a map and finding out how to find the portages and where it is that I want to camp, and really the adventure of going to new places and discovering new routes. But most of all, I like how I am out here with no stimulus except for God's creation. And I feel really fully alive. I love trying to find portages, and really what you have to do is you just have to be aware of all the different topographical features on a map. So you can see there's a little point on the right and an inlet to the right, and then you see the coastline going from left to right, and you see the little V, the lull in the trees at my 12 o'clock. That's generally the sign of a portage, that lull in the trees. So I can see the portage on my map is going from left to right at the end of that coastline where it kind of V's, and down from the little inlet on the right. So you just take an aim at that spot where you sense the portage is from studying the map, but you really don't know where it is until you get right up on it, which is kind of the fun of it. I've missed many a portage, but I also really like hitting it the first time. All right, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because now I'm closing in and yet I still see no portage. So I just got to keep going until something, hopefully a portage, appears. Maybe up there under that tree. Starting to look promising. You can tell a portage when you get up on it because of the wear around the beachhead, but also it's usually, not always, but usually a more shallow landing. I start to see some of the sand on the shore there. Looks like a shallow entry. That is the portage. Land ho. Every step matters out here. One false step could mean a rolled ankle or a tweaked leg, and that would just absolutely ruin your trip, especially when you're as far back into the wilderness as I am. The only way out of that situation is hitting the SOS button and getting airlifted out. You don't want that to happen. Every step counts. It's one small decision after another. Whether you're out here with a group or you're out here solo, you got to stay on top of your emotions. So when you've got that sense of exhilaration and your adrenaline starts pumping, you got to take 3 deep breaths, slow things down, because you get moving too fast with excitement. It's a good way to end up in the water. Even the sadness can overcome you. And you start feeling homesick, missing the people that you love, like I do all the time out here. You just got to ride that wave. Feel the emotion, feel the sadness. Let it come up and off your nervous system, and it'll pass. But if you don't do that and you suppress it, it's going to come out somehow. And it's probably going to hold you back from experiencing what you're out here to experience and doing what you set out to do. So every step counts. Every little decision matters. And you got to stay on top of your emotions. Those are keys to a safe trip and an enjoyable one. So I've got a big wind coming at me, and I'm trying to get across this lake. Hot lunch today, Packet Gourmet, ostentatious tortilla soup. I've had this before and it is fabulous. Also having a little organic tea. This is lemon ginger echinacea. Bruh. Solitude isn't about isolation or loneliness. It's about embracing closeness and intimacy with the Lord. St. Basil the Great says, it's necessary that we should seek out a place of solitude where we can purify our mind and get rid of the cares which cling to it, and so receive divine vision. Solitude purifies me from over-attachment to people, places, and things. It reforms me with a stronger reliance on God. It's true what St. Ignatius says. Solitude is the furnace of transformation. And what Kierkegaard writes, solitude isn't a way of running away from life, but a way of recapturing the life we've lost. All right, dinner tonight is Texas State Fair chili, Packet Gourmet. This is one of my absolute favorite backcountry meals. For dessert, we're gonna have Kate's Real Food white chocolate macadamia bar. That's gonna be so good. For drink, I'm having Traditional Medicines throat coat tea. Let's go. It's nice and soothing with some slippery elm. So let's get this party started. It's been a great half day of rest. Really enjoyed this lake and the solitude. Open this up, stir it up a little bit, and then we're going to add the cheese and the tortillas, which comes in its separate bag. This is a 2 oxygen absorber meal. Put those in there. Stir it all about. Oh, baby. Oh, glory. Yes, yes, yes. Beefy and chunky that is. Way to go, Packet Gourmet. We're going for the Rancheros Scramble by Good to Go. My tortillas have seemed to become one, so I'm going to lean into it. Oh, this looks really delicioso. I like it. Just a little after 7. Got up early to beat the wind, getting to the portage, and also wanted to get an early start on the Frost River today. It's going to be a long day, probably about 10 hours, I guess. 18 portages in and out of the Frost River drainage. Beautiful morning. Into the Frost River. The history of inland North America would have been a lot different without the birch bark canoe. This marvel of indigenous engineering could be easily carried over portages, expertly maneuvered through rapids, and served as both a vehicle and a shelter for voyageurs. For the indigenous Algonquian peoples, the craft of canoe making was passed down through generations, and the voyageurs soon learned. All the building materials were found in the woods. One birch tree was often sufficient to construct one canoe. Watapi, the fine, stringy root of a pine tree, usually the red spruce, was used for thread to sew the birch strips together, with 4 or 9 thwarts placed across the top at regular intervals to hold the canoe in shape. In front of each thwart were boards about 4 inches wide that served as seats, and the canoe was then gummed with melted pine sap to keep the craft watertight. Not all canoes were painted, but it was usual to depict some object or icon on them, like a flag or animal or Indian head at the bow or stern. Paddles were made of birch or red cedar wood, which was even lighter. The blades were usually painted red and green and ornamented further with detailed pictographs painted in black or green. For other equipment, the canoe carried an oilcloth, which could be used for covering cargo and for improvising a sail in prevailing winds. There was also a large sponge. It was used for bailing should the canoe spring a leak. And there was the cordel, a towing rope 60 yards in length used for guiding the canoe up or down the rapids when portaging wasn't a possibility. The crew of a canoe, a bowsman, a middleman, and a steersman, all paddled in perfect time with great rapidity, making about 40 strokes per minute, dipping the paddle a foot to 18 inches into the water and pulling with considerable force for 12 to 15 hours per day, averaging 4 to 6 miles per hour in calm water. And the Voyageur measured distance over the water by the pipe. The pipe was the distance covered between breaks, about every 4 miles, when the luxury of smoking a small ceramic pipe was indulged. The order was given, allumez, which means to turn on or to light up. Pipes were lit and stories were told for an enjoyable 10 to 15 minute break. It's been a good morning, almost 11 o'clock. I've made pretty good progress. The weather's been fantastic. I could not have asked for a better day out here. Stopping to fill up my water bottles and also get a little snacky. Happy face. In his book called Narrative of an Expedition to the Source of the St. Peter's River, Lake Winnipeg, and Lake of the Woods in the year 1823, William H. Keating writes, "As soon as a canoe reaches a portage, a scene of bustle and activity takes place, which none can picture to themselves but such as have seen it. The goods are unloaded and conveyed across, while the canoe is carried by the stern and bowsman. As soon as they've reached the end of the portage, it's launched and reloaded without any loss of time. A challenging portage of 100 yards doesn't detain them more than 20 minutes. The length of a portage was called a pose. It was computed by voyageurs in an unscientific but strategic way. The cargo, called pieces, were carried about a third of a mile and put down or posed. The voyageurs would return to the canoe at the water's edge 2 or more times to transport all the pieces to the pose. Then, without resting, the men shouldered their burdens and went on to the next pose. This continued until all the poses had been passed. One long portage of 45 miles in present-day Wisconsin was divided into 122 poses. Sometimes it wasn't necessary to portage around rapids, but rather to get out of the canoe without unloading it and walk the canoe up or down the rapids. Such spots were called discharges rather than portages. To navigate a discharge, it was necessary to tow the canoe, called lining a canoe, using the rope called the cordel. Often the current was so violent that 2 or more men must accompany the canoe, wading waist deep in ice-cold water and over treacherous rocks. At the end, no fire was made to dry the men's clothes. There wasn't time for that until camp. The life of a voyager was one of camaraderie and adventure. They were the lifeblood of the fur trade, propelling the exploration and expansion of North America. The life of the voyager was also one of hardship. Voyagers suffered from drowning, hernias, and broken limbs, twisted spines, rheumatism, as well as clouds of black flies and mosquitoes against which the best repellent was a mix of bear grease and skunk urine. I'm in awe of the strength and grit that defined the voyagers. Okay. Everything's okay. Come on, Miles. Dinner tonight, chicken tikka masala, Mountain House. I love this one. Oh yeah. A little spicy, really tasty. Lots of flavor. Ooh, that's good. That was a day. 10 hours on the Frost River. Major adventure. I got my feet stuck up to mid-shin in mud and grass. Missed a portage on the wrong side of the river. Ended up bushwhacking for about an hour and a half. Tipped the canoe. Some of my stuff is a little bit wet, but for the most part, the pack held up well. It was a great day. Saw several bald eagles. Enjoyed the solitude. Really grateful for this campsite. Had a quick dinner, journaled just a little bit. Prayed. I was so beat. More tomorrow. Night. Alright, this morning, next mile meals. Sausage scramble. See how this looks. Ooh. It's good. Real good. Great flavor. Let's go. Next mile meal, sausage scramble. That's a good breakfast. So yesterday, I got up at Frost Lake on a clear morning and did this first 140 rod portage up and over. It was kind of a beast first thing in the morning. Then a second portage into Octopus Lake. Third portage. Fourth, this river was really, really beautiful. Fifth, sixth, seventh. Chase Lake is also very beautiful. And then went into Pencil Lake. The portage out of Pencil Lake is very hard to find. It's actually over a little beaver dam before the falls on the left. The map has it on the right. And there is a place where people have tried to go to the right, which is what I did, and ended up bushwhacking for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Anyway, made it through. That's the 10th portage, and then this stretch is just absolutely beautiful. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 portages into Afton Lake. One of the most beautiful stretches of the Boundary Waters that I've ever been in. And I've been coming here since I was 15 years old. Absolute bucket list trip for me. Gorgeous day yesterday. So grateful to be here. I'm pulled up here at Afton Lake. We've got a storm blowing in. It's cloudy and cool today. It's supposed to rain the next 3 days and get a little snow. So we'll see how that goes. All right, time for a cold shower. Change of clothes. All right, my towel bath just isn't gonna do. The sun popped out And this is really my last chance to bathe before the front moves in. It's even supposed to snow in a couple days, so I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of it. The water's pretty cold. Ice out was last week, so 8 days ago. I'm guessing the water temperature is sub 40, but you know, there's only one way to get fresh and clean. Let's do this. Oh my. Okay. 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 Sorry, fish. Yes, sir. That is what I'm talking about. Now that is a delicious lunch. Tortilla, tuna fish, pickle relish, mayo, and an oat and honey granola bar. It's been a great rest day today. Got up and had some breakfast and then re-racked. Always nice to get a little additional sleep after a long day with a lot of portages. Spent the afternoon reading and journaling and praying. It's been an amazing day of Sabbath and solitude. The clouds are rolling in and I'm preparing for storms tonight and through tomorrow. So going to finish up dinner and get under the tarp. Tonight, Mimi's chicken tangine. Let that sit for a good 10 to 15 minutes. I don't know who Mimi is, but I sure am looking forward to her cooking. That's a hearty meal. It's gonna fill me up. Super great day of rest. Lots of reading and journaling and prayer. Got a bath, that was nice. Now I'm under this very low pitched tarp because, as you can probably hear, it's raining hard. There's been lots of lightning and thunder. And just lots and lots of rain. It's going to be good sleep in the night. Night. I've tried all sorts of coffee in the backcountry, probably 6 or 7 different kinds, and I always come back to the Starbucks via Instant Columbia. None of the other flavors from Starbucks, just the Columbia. For some reason, this coffee is just really, really good dehydrated coffee, so I take it on every adventure. This morning we are going to try the Peak Premium Mountain Berry Granola. I'm going to have this one cold. Very strawberry. Premium strawberry even. So we got some blueberries in there. Ooh, baby. Reminds me of that strawberry quick milk that I used to love as a kid. Delicious coffee. Sun's out. It's gonna be a great day. Drying out that tarp. So off for the day. Looking forward to all the beauty in front of me today. The peace, the solitude, the silence, although it's never really silent out here with the wind and the animals, the birds. Last night I even got to hear some wolves howling. Pretty awesome. So let's go. I think this is just too dangerous to try and do a carry by myself, so I think I'm going to side carry this. Got to know your limitations. Limitations are best judged by the peace you have doing something or not. That's true humility. So I'm going to go ahead and carry the canoe down on my side like luggage. Well, that was definitely a challenging portage. Big steep up and over, but I made it. So last stretch of the Frost River, absolutely beautiful, quiet, peaceful, so still. Just the sound of rushing water, birds, a little bit of wind in the trees. Stunning. Woo! In the hustle and bustle of life, it's easy to get lost in the noise and drown in endless distractions. In her book, Interior Castle, Saint Teresa of Avila writes, "If you want to hear the voice of God, you must first learn to be silent." The spiritual practice of silence turns down the clamor of all the competing voices that wage a war for the allegiance of our heart, and turns up the small, quiet whisper of God who speaks a better word. Here's a poem I wrote. God is a God of sound, the crack of lightning and boom of thunder, the whoosh of waves, whistling of wind, and wash of waterfalls. All sounds created by God. The dawn chorus of birds, the buzz of bees and the bugle of elk, the hoot of an owl and the snort of a buck. All notes in the cosmic soundtrack mastered by the master. The patter of little feet, the bubbles and bursts of laughter, the snuffle of a sniff and the smack of a kiss, all downloaded into the symphony of humanity by the divine conductor. And yet there is one sound that is even better than all these. One sound more beautiful than all these combined. One sound greater than creation itself. One sound that actually gives life and sustains it in an eternal melody. In the silence of solitude, we're able to face our brokenness and find the loving, healing, restoring voice of our Creator. Made it to Hub Lake. That was a long portage, but enjoyable to take a walk in the woods with a big pack, and then take a walk in the woods with no pack, and then take a walk in the woods with a canoe. It rained on me on the third leg of that portage, but I was under the canoe, so. This is a Beckett hitch. Pitch, full twist, over, grab the tail, pull in, pull it tight. Just go like so. And these are to tie off the screen if you're not using it. At the head, there's a 3-pole assembly. Perhaps a little bit lower than where I normally would sleep, but it's supposed to get below freezing tonight and tomorrow. I'm staying here for 2 nights, so I'm going to give this a try, and I can always adjust it. Made it to the campsite and just had lunch under my tarp. It's raining, and that cold front is coming in, so it's getting cold quickly. The rain's let up, but still under my tarp. It is such a nice perch to look out over the lake. So peaceful here. There's a couple of loons fishing in front of me. I just heard a tree fall and splash into the water on the other side of the cove. And a little bird found a few of my granola bar crumbs down on the water's edge by a rock. It's been a very peaceful afternoon. Got a little nap, and I'm just spending some time journaling, and I'm about to do some reading before dinner. Oh man, that's snow. All right, tonight, Boomer's buffalo chicken. All right, Boomer. Tasty. Beautiful. Big breakfast this morning. I've got the Good to Go granola. I'm going to be eating that cold. Looking forward to the figs and blueberries. And then I have some hot Quaker Oats instant oatmeal, high protein. This is a combination of maple and brown sugar and cranberry almond. This is the Good to Go granola. And you notice I cut the top off this bag. I feel like the Good to Go bags are just too tall, and it's hard to get in there on most of their meals, so I like to cut it to give me more access. Wait, what, Adventure Well? You made guacamole for the trail? Nicely on my tuna wrap. It is so good. This is Cache Lake really tasty beef stew. Just letting that Cache Lake beef stew simmer for a few minutes. So chunky. Very fresh and tasty. Peak butternut dal bhat. I don't know what that means. Butternut and all that, because there's a lot to it. Let's see how it is. Butternut and all that. That is tasty. It's been a great day. I have read and journaled and prayed and have enjoyed sitting by this fire for the entire day. It's been about 40 degrees, windy, rainy, but also really beautiful. An enjoyable day. Really grateful for the time of reflection, contemplation, and the opportunity to do so in such an amazing place. Good Day Sunshine Bowl, the aspirational meal title. I am looking for some sunshine. It is good day, just need some sunshine. Heading off Hub Lake, traveling south. It's the first time I've ever packed up a canoe trip in the snow. It was really cold last night. Started snowing about 10 p.m. It didn't stop until really about now. It's about 1 p.m. So I slept in, stayed warm, re-racked, and waited until There was a little bit of a break, and I was warm enough to take on a really full and solid half day. Damn. When paddling, the Voyageurs would sing. In fact, Voyageurs were chosen partly with respect to their vocal abilities. Songs were chosen with rhythms that helped the paddles keep in time. They sang in French, of course, and songs were about their canoes, their country, their life, their loves, and their faith. The music consisted of sentimental romances, dramatic ballads, humorous jingles, lofty poems, and crude limericks. Singing lighted the work and passed the time. Here's a song called My Birch Bark Canoe. In my birch bark canoeing, in the cool of evening I ride, where I've braved every tempest of St. Lawrence's rolling tide. My canoe's of bark light as a feather, it's stripped from silvery birch, and the seams with roots sewn together, and white paddles made of birch. I take my canoe, send it chasing all the rapids and billows across. There so swiftly see it going racing, and it never the current has lost. It's when I come on the portage, I take my canoe on my back, set it on my head topsy-turvy, then make it my cabin for the night. Along the riverbanks I've wandered all along Lawrence's tide. I've known the indigenous races and the tongues that them divide. You are my Voyageur companion, I'll gladly die within my canoe. And on the grave beside the canyon, you'll overturn on me too. His cart is beloved of the plowman. The hunter loves his gun, his hound. The musician is a music lover. Yet to my canoe, I'm bound. Mom's beef stew. All right, Mom. That's looking tasty. That's good. I've saved this for when I felt a little homesick, and that is definitely tonight. That is so cheesecakey. Just add cold water. We'll go ahead and give you the visual on this. Wow. Packet Gourmet. Mountain House breakfast skillet this morning. About 28 degrees outside. This should be perfect. Let's go, breakfast skillet. All right, I'm off. Another beautiful day in the BWCA. Really looking forward to this day ahead. Somebody dropped their Christmas tree. And another under. Ooh. Spikies. The almond butter oat and honey bar taco. Flyover. Yeah, that was a day. That was the most difficult paddle day I've ever had in my life. Longest portage of my life, and I have never paddled so long or so hard into the wind like I did into those white caps today. That was intense. Glad I'm safe. Glad to be at my final campsite. Whew. Good to go. Chicken pho. Is it real or is it faux? Let's find out. Oh, that's for real. That was an amazing day, full of beauty and challenge all at the same time. I have never done a portage that long in my life. I've never carried my pack 2 miles on a portage and then walked 2 miles back and picked up my canoe and portaged it 2 miles. So it was a very long portage, but absolutely beautiful. A lot of beaver activity. Saw moose droppings and fiddle-headed ferns springing, which are really tasty. It was such an amazing portage, really, really beautiful. Spent a lot of the morning doing that. And then this afternoon was probably the hardest paddle I've ever done in my life. Paddling into about a 16 mile per hour wind into white caps. I had to keep the bow of my solo canoe just pointed straight into the waves. It was really intense. I prayed a lot. I sang a lot of hymns and just kept digging.